Yeah, I will try to limit myself. Yesterday I was holding a presentation for 2 hours, and and now I was asked to comment on why we need a Green New Deal and how to come about it. So, but I will try. I think I'm here. As already mentioned, I'm working for the public union Fagforbundet in Norway, but I also as a co-author of the report How to Fund the Green New Deal, commissioned by the European Greens and written by Redefine. So I will have both hats now, and I will also then focus on how to finance the Green New Deal would be the focus. And I think, first of all, the best way to tackle indebtedness is through growth, but we also have to ask ourselves, how kind of growth, how kind of society do we want? And this was also mentioned in the last section. And it's clear that the current growth model is not sustainable, so that is why we need a Green New Deal. And it's a little bit, for me, why are we following a growth model which hasn't created happiness for the last 30 years? And these single-minded cut policies will only be self-defeating. What we need is more public spending, not less. And the current crisis is also a good opportunity to start to transfer Europe transfer the Europe economy. And then the question is how to put the Green New Deal into practice. And that was also the question which we raised in this report. And the report identified a whole range of policies. I will try to just limit myself to point out four of them here. And first of all, it is clear that the current economic and financial system need to be revised. The short-term quest for benefits tends to not only distort the landscapes in disfavor of clean investments, but also innovation projects. So the actors in the financial industry needs to be both compelled and be enabled to think more green, and that's why we think mandatory carbon disclosure and carbon stress tests is a way to force the financial industry to gain knowledge about how to invest in green or undertake green investments. And second, has been the productivity in resources has been lower than the productivity in labor, and this is a strong indicator that many resources actually too cheap. So what Europe need to do is actually to raise the taxes on, for example, carbon emissions, and also schedule a table for how the carbon emissions would raise, the carbon price would raise over time, because many investments or green investments has a long investment horizons, and that is also, I think it's really important for Europe to have a climate strategy which moves beyond 2020. Oh, 2 minutes. And the third thing is that, try to speed up, is that it's needed a more comprehensive investment program. It does need not only invest in developing technologies, but you also need to bring them to the market, and you need investments which could scale it up. And therefore we propose that for example, the European investment banks should be used to promote, for example, green bonds, which can link green productive investments to potentially investors. And the fourth and last is that you need to have a market for investors to actually be willing to invest in these green opportunities. And there both as a price signals, taxes could play an important role, but also regulations. There should be disclosure of the lifetime cost of most appliances, and also maybe a dynamic technology standards which moves over time, which is, for example, in the Top Runner program in Japan. So, and this is, I would like to talk more about, but if you want to go more into depth, you have to read our report. But I also think that the question is, would this, which is pressing now, is would this reduce growth? I think that actually green taxes would rather induce more investments, and the reason is that given that the firms have access to finance, they actually would invest to adjust to the new policies, and it would also create new investment opportunities. And it's many manufacturing plants in Europe are not the most energy efficiency. The potential for energy efficiency is quite huge, and it's the most energy efficient cement plant is not in Europe, it's in Brazil. So it's a huge potential here. And it was mentioned earlier that union can play an important role, and I couldn't agree more, and I think the unions could ask themselves the questions that how can we achieve emission cuts in our sector? And you need not only a top-down approach, but also a bottom-up approach. And in Norway, Fagforbundet, the public union, has, while the government is still arguing about whether we should cut in Norway or not, we have gone into cooperation with municipalities in how the municipalities can cut their emissions. And there's been a lot of talk about the Chinese model, but this is a little bit about the Norwegian model, maybe. So, and maybe we have run out of time already, so just to sum up, I think it's important to have a comprehensive approach, but also take different social partners and the people along in the process. This would also, so then I think thank you.